Good evening, I'm Talia Ricci. Tomorrow night at this time, we'll be getting ready to welcome a new year. Toronto will be hosting a big outdoor party at Nathan Phillips Square with skating, outdoor performances, and of course, fireworks. That's where our Kelda Yoon is tonight. And Kelda, you got to see what some of the final steps are into preparing this big bash.
That's right, Talia. I was here earlier when they were setting up, and the planning actually got underway over 6 months ago. So they really want to make sure that everything goes off without a hitch. I'm at Nathan Phillips Square right now. As you can see, not too busy, but in 24 hours, this place will be packed. Over 60,000 people are expected to ring in the new year here. And now earlier this evening, production crews were here doing sound checks, lighting checks, making sure everything is working and ready to go. Now the celebration is completely free to the public. It starts at 8 p.m. with a skating party featuring local DJs, DJ Money Jane and DJ Mel Boogie. Now on the main stage, Toronto R&B soul singer Lisa will be the first to perform. She will be followed by Canadian rapper Cadence Weapon. Now he will then be followed by the headliner, DJ Indian, who is one of the founding members of A Tribe Called Red, and he will lead the crowd into midnight. And of course, as the clock strikes 12, there will be fireworks off of City Hall. And it was also just announced that there will be a special performance by the Champions of Magic, which is a group of illusionists from the UK. They will be here just after 11 o'clock, but this is just one of many options for New Year's Eve. Of course, earlier I was here and I was asking people what they were planning to do to ring in the new year.
New Year's plan, we're going to Niagara Falls. All the family, like 30 of us.
Going to a bar crawl on King Street.
At the moment, I think that we're planning to come to the Nathan Phillips Square.
New Year's Eve plans? No, I'm going to stay home with the kids and have a good time and
Cozy, relaxing.
Exactly.
We're just gonna chill at home.
Yeah, yeah, watch some movies and stuff, yeah.
Do you have any plans for New Year's Eve?
Not yet.
So we don't know what we're doing yet, but we're gonna do something.
So as you heard, some people planning to stay home, some headed out, some don't have plans yet, and some will be right back here. Now, for those who want to see some fireworks, Nathan Phillips Square is not the only place that will have free fireworks. Mississauga's Celebration Square, as well as Brampton's Garden Square, they will also have free fireworks tomorrow. And for those with little ones, Toronto Public Library will have a countdown to noon. And for the 6th year in a row, Netflix will have fake countdowns so that parents of little ones can ring in the new year with their kids, as well as getting them to bed on time before midnight. I'll send it back to you, Talia.
That's a good idea. Thanks, Kelda. In Markham today, a brazen robbery in a packed mall had shoppers fleeing the area. Police are searching for multiple suspects. They say broke into the Luck Fook jewelry store in Markville Mall around 6:30 this evening. That's just 30 minutes before the mall was closed for the day. Social media video has emerged showing the suspects wearing construction vests cleaning out products on display. Police say they fled through the parking lot. No one was injured. One person was arrested shortly after. Another video has emerged of a police takedown not too far from the mall. A struggle in the middle of the street between an officer and a man, with the officer drawing his gun at one point. Gas prices have been lower and drivers aren't complaining, but what's causing the dip? Progressive Conservative MPPs and ministers say it's thanks to the elimination of Ontario's cap-and-trade program. But experts say the low prices in recent weeks are a result of wholesale gasoline prices declining across North America. Hawaii Fidel reports.
Have you noticed that gas prices have been pretty low recently?
Yes, very low, and I like it.
Drivers in Toronto are noticing the low prices at the pump, and they're happy about it.
That's why I can travel more. I don't have to worry about it.
At this Petro-Canada in downtown Toronto, regular gas costs about $103.9 per litre. Analysts say people are saving around $8 to $10 a week in fuel compared to a few months ago. Some PC MPPs and ministers took to Twitter this week, taking credit for the dip in gas prices. Here, Premier Doug Ford's deputy and Minister of Health, Christine Elliott, says by eliminating the carbon tax in Ontario, families in Newmarket and Aurora have been enjoying lower gas prices. In this post, Finance Minister Vic Fedeli tweets, "This is what happens when Ontario removed the cap-and-trade carbon tax. Real relief for families."
They're intentionally misleading.
Critics are calling foul on the post, saying the prices at the pump have more to do with global factors.
The idea that cap and trade or getting rid of cap and trade is responsible for this big decrease in gas prices is just not true at all.
Experts say prices did drop in November around the time the cap and trade program was eliminated, but only by about 5 cents. Overall, prices have decreased by about 10 to 15 cents.
The more recent decreases in pump prices over the last few weeks, of course, has nothing to do with that and everything to do with reduction in the wholesale price of gasoline.
In a statement to CBC Toronto, Ford's office said drivers in Ontario are now saving an additional 4.6 cents a litre that they wouldn't otherwise be saving, adding, "We committed to taking 10 cents off a litre of gas, and we are well on our way." Huea Fidel, CBC News, Toronto.
Through sunshine, snow, or rain, residents of a downtown neighborhood keep spotting a mysterious stranger, sometimes in the parks or relaxing in their backyards. Now they can't help but wonder, who is this odd bird that's settled into their community?
These are the mysteries of life.
First we saw the tracks and we were trying to puzzle out what kind of a bird it was. And then across the playground, right? Didn't we see it? Yeah. I've never seen a turkey walking around a city before. It didn't seem very afraid of us. It came right over and started playing on the playground equipment.
Doesn't really mind us. It flies through our backyard on a regular basis. My kids just get super excited about seeing it. I've got 2 little ones, and whenever the turkey flies by, they run to the window and go crazy. It's really fun. We actually have a neighborhood email list, and throughout the summer, people would post images to the list, and especially around Thanksgiving and Christmas, everybody was really happy that the turkey still made it through those holidays. Oh, I'd love it if it took a bit of the food away from the raccoons. We wouldn't mind that at all. The thing about Toronto is it's got these long strands of park, so animals can travel. If anybody can find a male wild turkey, then we can really get things going. So maybe we could make a call out to anyone out there who can bring in a male wild turkey. I think this is a great habitat for them. Everybody loves it. It's good for the city. So yeah, let's get things started.
Turkey dating app perhaps.
So cute. Amanda Weldon joins us now for a first look at our forecast. And Amanda, I was happy to wake up to a white New Year's Eve.
A New Year's Eve, because I know that you're going to be in your pajamas tomorrow night, right?
We already talked about memory.
We already talked about this. All right, well, Sunday in the overnight, -3, it is clear. Feeling like -7, even despite having that southerly flow. By the afternoon, though, everything's going to change. 3 degrees. Let's see what's going on right now, and we will continue to dive into our New Year's plans now and when we come back. Clear right now, high pressure in place. We do have a little bit of flurries going on, but well north of the city. So this is an Alberta clipper. It's moving in. Brought a lot of snow for the prairies, and then down to the south, another low that's tracking in with a lot of Gulf moisture. So what does this mean? To the south, we have a warmer air mass that's full of moisture mixing in with a colder one that's ushering in some cooler conditions. So that's a clashing of air masses. Special weather statement in place. To the south, we're talking rain. To the north, we are talking snow. So what happens in between? This low continues to track up. Through the morning hours, you'll start to see the rain for southwestern Ontario, Toronto getting into it later into the morning hours. And then behind it, we will get some cooler conditions. This means rain for your New Year's Eve, and we're going to time it out a little bit better when we come back with you, Talia. But New Year's Day, nice and clear.
That's good to know. Thanks, Amanda.
No problem.
As 2018 comes to an end, we've been looking back at some of the top stories that shaped this year. And as we head to break, Chris Glover takes a look at the month of June.
Tonight, the people of Ontario have spoken.
Doug Ford became the Premier of Ontario in June. The former Toronto City Councillor and the brother of late Mayor Rob knocked Kathleen Wynne and the Liberals out of power. The PCs walked away from the election with a majority government. Andrea Horwath and the NDP became the official opposition. After 15 years of running the province, the Liberals won only 7 seats, not enough to garner official party status. 2 police officers were charged with misconduct in connection with the search for murder victim Tess Ritchie. The young woman's body was found in November after she went missing near Yonge and Wellesley. Her mother found her just meters from where she was last seen. The Police Act charges stemmed from an investigation that concluded the officers failed to thoroughly search for her. Gun violence continued to plague the city in the summer. 2 sisters were shot while in a playground near McCowan and Steele. Fortunately, they survived. 3 men were arrested and charged, including the man who police say was the target of the shooting. A brazen shooting at Queen and Peter claiming the lives of 2 men. Javante Smart, the rapper known as Smoke Dog, and Ernest Cozy Modekwe were killed. Police issued Canada-wide warrants for 2 men, and officers have yet to apprehend them. An intense storm soaked the city mid-June, so much so that rain was falling from the roof of the Eaton Center, and close to 20,000 people lost power. The Raptors named their new head coach in June. Nick Nurse took over as bench boss. He became the 9th coach in the franchise's history. And Toronto won the right to host the 2026 World Cup. Well, sort of. A joint North American bid with Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. topped Morocco for the right to hold the soccer tournament. Toronto will split Canada's duties with Edmonton and Montreal.
The keyboardist and vocalist in the Canadian band Walk Off the Earth has died.
Boxes made of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same.
The band says Mike Taylor died in his sleep last night. That's him in the toque. He was fondly known as the Beard Guy. In a statement, the Juno Award-winning band said Mike had a love for life that was unmatched and a willingness to give that went beyond ordinary means, adding, "Our deepest sympathies are with his 2 children, whom he adored more than anything else in the world." Walk Off the Earth will no longer perform at tomorrow's New Year's Eve concert featured on CBC television. Canadian singer-songwriter Jan Arden has been raising awareness of dementia through her own experience, taking care of her mother during her long struggle with the disease. That ended last night, but an increasing number of Canadians are going through their own fight. Adrian Chung shows us what's being done for them.
Jan Arden's message, a simple one. Mom is gone. The response to her post overwhelming, with thousands reacting to news that Arden's mother had died after a long struggle with dementia. She spoke and wrote openly about her mother's final years.
This just isn't forgetting how to set the clock radio or little banal things that happen in day-to-day life. This is, something's wrong.
And Arden, ever an honest voice, opened up about her own struggles as a caregiver, even writing a book called Feeding My Mother. She said it was hard for her to accept the new reality.
I was the memory police. I'd correct her. I'm still very much in denial.
Arden posted often on Facebook.
I don't think she knows who she is or where she is.
A community of caregivers to their own loved ones was born.
But just knowing somebody else was going through it was all I needed.
Money doesn't protect you from grief, and I think this platform and the way that she shared her journey is really beautiful.
Arden's not the only prominent Canadian raising awareness of dementia.
Shame and stigma associated with the disease.
Comedian Seth Rogen created Hilarity for Charity, raising money for Alzheimer's research. His mother-in-law was diagnosed with dementia.
I want to pay tribute to the caregivers, to the service providers.
And Conservative MP Lisa Raitt shared her husband's struggles with early onset dementia.
Jan Arden has really done a tremendous job, I think, opening herself up and talking about her experiences.
Neurologists like Anthony Levinson are following Arden's journey and have created a site to explain the stages of dementia and what caregivers can do to help.
The more people, draw attention to this issue, the higher the likelihood that they'll draw support from one another and realize that they're not alone.
Not just a comfort, but a tool for caregivers in an often lonely fight, a fight Jan Arden knows all too well. Adrian Chung, CBC News, Toronto.
A new trade pact came into effect in Canada today. It's called the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. This deal is about expanding Canada's trade with 11 other countries, mostly in Asia. It allows Canadian beef and pork producers to make major inroads into new markets. But what the average Canadian will likely notice will be more foreign dairy products on the supermarket shelves. Canadian dairy farmers call the deal a betrayal by Ottawa. But the government says Canadians will eventually see the benefits, including cheaper Japanese cars. The deaths of 2 migrant children in U.S. custody and the public outcry that followed is now triggering action by Washington. Today, a top Republican said the U.S. Senate will look into the tragedies.
Yeah, I'm going to hold hearings on the deaths of these 2 children and the policies that entice people to come.
And after visiting southern border crossings this weekend, U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen ordered policy changes to better protect children in American custody. 2 sick Guatemalan children died in separate incidents earlier this month after crossing into the U.S. with relatives. In a tweet yesterday, Donald Trump blamed their deaths on Democratic immigration policies. Trump is currently in a standoff with Democrats over funding for a border wall. That budget impasse led to the ongoing partial shutdown of the U.S. government, which is now expected to stretch well into the new year.
It's awesome. Love skating and doing things that are outrageous for the new year. Why not?
Dozens of brave people in Toronto laced up their skates and wore not much else at the Bentway's first ever polar bear skate. We'll show you how it went after the break. Well, you've heard of the polar bear dip, but what about the polar bear skate? Dozens stripped down to their underwear this afternoon for a leisurely skate at the Bentway.
It's almost 2019. I figure what better way to start a new year than to take a really big risk, do something I've never done before. My favorite things about this is like how there were tons of people who like just came out to watch and cheer us on. It's like, what a Canadian thing to go and like push the boundaries of the cold and push the boundaries of the winter, and like, you know, you kind of feel a little bit warm even when you're cold because you just feel the energy, and it's a lot of fun.
This was the first polar bear skate in the city, and it was free to sign up. Amanda Weldon is back now with our extended forecast. I imagine probably with the wet weather we're getting tomorrow, people probably wouldn't want to dress like that.
I was going to say, you better believe it was free.
Yes.
Monday evening, we've got rain. It's actually pretty mild, tell you. So we are around the seasonal mark, but this is what's to come. And I guarantee a lot of people aren't going to be skating on the Bentway because rain is coming. We've got an Alberta Clipper tracking on through. We were talking about that earlier, but I want to time it out for you a little bit closer in detail. Because for Toronto, the good news is we're actually in the rain and it's going to clear out by those overnight hours. But if you are making the trip to Ottawa, note that by Monday overnight, we've got freezing rain, ice pellets, rain, snow. It's a messy mix of things. So no kidding, our travel forecast plans are going to impact what you've got going on. And you're all going to be taking cabs, right? We're all going to be traveling safe. Well, we got 15 to 20 millimeters for Toronto around the Golden Horseshoe. That seems to be the status quo. It's towards the north that we will have the impact of snow. So again, if you are traveling towards cottage country, sooner the better, okay? And we will also have some gusty conditions around the lakes there. Now, I want to get into our 7-day forecast because how it looks right now is behind that system. That's where we will usher in the cooler conditions. We will start to get back to seasonal, and then Saturday, the next impact. How we move into 2019 is going to be pretty nice, but these clashing of air masses is what's bringing us that milder flow and an active boundary. It's going to move on out into the Atlantic Canada, so they're actually starting 2019 off with that storm. And I will note, probably not skating on the Bentway or things like it in Winnipeg, because minus 20, minus 30, those are going to be the daytime highs. Monday morning, this is what we can expect, and then into the afternoon, the rain will be here. Back to you, Talia.
Well, I'm happy to see the sun make a return at least. Thanks, Amanda.
No problem.
Before we go, we wanted to take a moment to reflect on some of our local heroes. Through tough times and tragedies this year in Toronto, there have been countless acts of kindness and bravery. Here are a few that we had the opportunity to share. On April 23rd, a deadly van attack shook our city. 10 people lost their lives that day. Toronto police officer Ken Lamb received widespread praise for the nonviolent arrest of the driver.
It will also be of great interest to policing leaders because we will seek to inform ourselves about an effective apprehension.
In July, a second violent incident devastated Toronto after a man opened fire on a busy summer evening on the Danforth. Amid the chaos, two strangers held two victims in the moments before their death.
I just told her she's loved. She's so loved. And I just told her I'm not leaving you and I'm going to stay with you.
I hold her face. I was like holding her face and I was telling her to like, it's going to be okay. Don't worry. It's going to be fine.
It was near the start of the afternoon rush on the TTC in July when three men sprung into action. They heard a man calling out for help. He was visually impaired and had fallen onto the tracks. Within seconds, he was safely back on the platform, and help had arrived to treat his injuries.
We've been told like we're giving hope to people, let the people good out there, and it's great to get that feedback.
As a reward for their bravery, the three men were given Presto cards good for 1 year of free service on the TTC. Another heroic act emerged from this summer's storm. Two men prayed and panicked as rainwater started gushing into the elevator they were stranded in at their office building in North Toronto.
The only thing that gave me some stillness at that moment is that I said I'm not going to die in this dirty water in an elevator.
They did manage to open a crack just big enough to squeeze a cell phone out to call 911. Minutes later, two police officers arrived and set out to rescue the trapped men.
We knew the situation, what was going on, but there was no panic. We're both pretty calm.
And finally, a young hero whose brave actions resulted in his tragic death.
Kyle is every teacher's dream.
Kyle Muthalingham died trying to save a mother and son crying for help in the waters at Woodbine Beach. One of his closest friends said he already knew the 16-year-old was a hero. He had illustrated this photo well before the rescue.
He's the one in the green on the left.
I remember when it was my birthday and like I really wanted this book, so like he saved up his money and like he didn't buy lunch just so he could buy me the book that I wanted, and like really made me feel really, you know, special.
All Heroes Toronto was lucky to have this year. That's our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching. Our next newscast is tomorrow at 6 p.m. And as we go, we'll leave you with another look at some ice skaters making the most of winter at the Bentway today, this time fully clothed. Have a great night.